r/Nosleep. Posted by Reddit user A_Stony_Shore. The 12 Rules. Part 6. Rule 6. Maintain accountability of your sensitive items. Speaking of getting your ass lost, don't lose accountability of sensitive items. What's a sensitive item? I'm glad you asked. Sensitive item is a blanket term for something really expensive, really dangerous, or mission critical. Night vision goggles? Sensitive item. Weapon? Sensitive item. ComSec field device? Oh, you better believe it's a sensitive item. You wouldn't believe how common it is for someone to sneak onto post and then try to find unsecured items and make off with it. You also wouldn't believe how easy it is for our special needs soldiers to lose shit. I once knew a guy on a road march who buckled his canteens in place and still lost them. We had to dummy cord everything to that guy because he would just lose shit. How did he get into the military? The fuck if I know. Anyway, for folks with an IQ in the range of normal, mere thought of losing a sensitive item causes the sphincter to clench hard enough to make diamonds. Imagine if you lost your own child. Almost like that. Not quite, but in the ballpark. So you lose a sensitive item. The base goes on lockdown until that piece of shit is found. It's usually right where someone left it, but not always. Sometimes you have to do police call for 9 hours in the desert, only to find the asshole who lost his weapon left it in the latrine. Thanks for that. That was fun walking around for 9 hours, checking underneath rocks. I really enjoyed it. So if you want to lock the base down because you lost something very special, something you can't let escape, you put out a high alert that sensitive item was lost. You aren't lying per se, but you aren't being truthful. And that poor 18-year-old son of a bitch is going to be hating life as he or she pointlessly combs the desert like that scene right out of Spaceballs while you unfuck your situation. I was on my lunch break eating a ham and cheese and 10W40 sandwich when my supervisor Lee delivered the news. We're on lockdown. Sensitive item went missing. I rolled my eyes and kept chewing. We've been asked to halt our work and join the search. That was unusual. Normally, we were sort of exempt from these things. We've been assigned to search the power substations and the warehousing area south of it. He held up his hands. I know, just listen. They want us to do this quietly, okay? We just head over there, poke around, and let the bosses know what's up when we find it. We don't have to touch it or anything, okay? I paused. You volunteered us because you want us to do the preventative maintenance on the substation while we're out there, didn't you? Lee blushed, and I rolled my eyes. You said the sensitive item was heading south. How's that possible? Yes, and, well, it's less of a thing they lost and more of an it. Oh, come on, I sighed. Sarah and Mikey will go to the power substation. And I told you, I'm not pairing up with you. And you will pair up with Chris, Lee finished. I'll be, here. Chris was a quiet older guy, probably a Vietnam vet, standoffish. He'd spoken all of 3 words to me since I started, and I got the distinct impression he hated me. He told me, and I quote, "Go to hell. This should be fun." We arrived at the decaying warehouse, armed with a crowbar and pipefitter's wrench. I know we're on a military base with no weapons. Silly, right? Well, contrary to popular belief, the Sanity military bases are pretty close to gun-free zones, unless you are training. The warehouse itself must have been built in the 50s, and the decay was only hidden by judicious applications of drab paint. I took the lead while Chris limped behind me with a walkie-talkie. He was struggling to keep up, so I knew the search was going to take forever. We had to cover at least a half dozen warehouses spread over half a mile. The first building we got to was locked up tight. The second wasn't. It looked like 4th century. Chris radioed it in while I crept past the threshold. "Hey Lee, we're heading to warehouse 17. So, Chris, how do you like working here? See anything odd?" He grunted. "Yeah, you know I have. We all have. You have. Cut the small talk." I yielded and we pressed onward into the dark cavern. The warehouse consisted of aisle after aisle of equipment and gear racks, like a giant Walmart without the curb appeal. We decided to split up and handle 2 aisles at a time. Everything looked in order from my part, and I cleared the first aisle in a few minutes tops. When I came to the end, Chris was already there waiting for me. "Whoa, old man, you're sprier than you look." "Yeah. Alright, let's check the next section over." I moved, and he grunted but followed. The warehouse was empty. "Alright, Chris, let's head over to the next building." He looked pale, and as he followed, I noted he was no longer limping. "You alright, man? You don't look so good." "Yeah. You sure?" He looked confused, as if unsure of how to respond to what I was saying. "Hey Lee, we're heading in. Did you just have a stroke?" My concern mounted. "Just, if you can't talk, use your hands. See if that works. Do you have full feelings in your arms?" Chris's concern grew to match mine, but he didn't respond. I held out my hand for the radio. "Dude, we need to call an ambulance. Give me the radio." "You know I have. We all have. You have. Cut the small talk," he replied. He didn't hand over the radio. Now that I was thinking about it, he didn't even have the radio anymore. Shit. I did my best to suppress my shock. "Alright, let's go," I said, instead, and started walking towards the door. At this, primal panic called forth a desire to flee I could hardly control. Chris didn't respond, but he followed. My hands grew sweatier as we walked, making it even more difficult for me to keep hold of the crowbar in my grasp. We exited the building and walked towards the truck. The crunching sound of our boots on the gravel was steady and quick, but there was something unnatural underneath it all, something akin to chattering. I walked to my side of the truck and he to his. I opened my door and got in and turned on the truck. Chris's side door didn't open. I glanced over and he just stood there, like a mute. Chris, or it, didn't know how to open a truck door. "Hey man, I'm just gonna call it in real quick, and then we'll get up out of here, okay?" I raised my hand with a thumbs up. He mimicked me. Holding a smile with clenched teeth, I continued. "You probably ate Chris or something, didn't you? You slippery fuck." "Yeah. Hi. Keep holding that thumb up, weirdo. I hope you can't run faster than I can drive." I put the truck into gear before reaching for the radio, thinking he might just know how a radio works. And just as I expected, he did. When I put my hand on the mic, his jaw unhinged and opened twice as wide as normal human could, and his shriek was overpowering. I threw it in reverse and immediately remembered the last time, or first time rather, I had to do this. It immediately started running after me. I pushed the pedal down and fingered the key to the mic and called in my situation. "Hey, I'm pretty sure Chris is dead. Something's chasing me that looks like him." I cringed at my shitty description, but hey, close enough. I continued in reverse as the seconds ticked by. That inhumane monstrosity, wearing Chris's form, extended its gait and kept pace with my truck, unable to grab hold but also not slowing down. It had cast aside some of its form, and in place of its hands were grotesque appendages with no other natural facsimile. "I got you, Rook. Friendly's inbound. Don't..." The line cut to static. "Don't break, or I'll kill you," Lee finished. What followed felt like hours, but it was a mere 10 seconds or so. As soon as I passed onto the main road, time slowed and then stopped. Time stopped. I was unable to move, as was Chris, but I saw something walk into my peripheral view. Another man in a suit. He walked up to Chris casually, put restraints on his hands, things, whatever, and then dragged him off, still incapacitated, just like me. Minutes passed, then the man walked over to me. "Hey, you promised to keep quiet about this," he asked in a cordial tone. In my mind, I screamed, "Yes, you crazy time-warping fuck. I've seen some weird things here and I haven't said a goddamn word. I'm good. I'll go back to my shop. Shut up. No problem." "Don't curse. It's not polite." He frowned. "Okay, I guess you're right. You went through the aperture and kept quiet. That's good enough for me. But don't." He chuckled. "Don't get the impression this was an escape from the aperture." Smiling, he turned and left. And as he did, time returned to normal. Slammed on my brake and I was alone in the street. After returning to the shop, Lee asked me how it went. "Terrible. Some shape-shifting, murderous thing killed Chris, took its form, and then a time-warping dude in a suit took it back." "Sweet. What the hell was sweet about that, huh?" "Oh." He looked around sheepishly. "Well, Sarah PM'd the substation, and well, we got rid of Chris." "Again? Really? You used me again?" "Bottom of the totem pole, my dude. Besides, you get to meet the big bosses. Those guys help us cover for when things get a little wacky." "Okay, so why did Chris need to die? It's kind of a jerk, but..." "Oh yeah, Chris was a bad apple, man. You ever hear of vampires? Kinda like that, but not allergic to sunlight. He'd gotten a bit out of hand lately. Too many soldiers dying to training accidents. I counseled him on it, but he just wouldn't stop." He shrugged. "Hell, I had odds he'd suck your bones dry before the mimic got him." "Odds? Who are you betting against, you piece of shit?" "Sarah.